Khalid Al-Saud was born into unimaginable wealth, the only heir to a Saudi business empire, while Amina was a young woman whose beauty and grace made her the envy of all who saw her. On their wedding night, beneath chandeliers and golden silk, their union was celebrated as a fairy tale destined to last forever. But by morning, Amina was dead, and Khalid sat in silence beside her lifeless body. What began as the most extravagant wedding in Jeddah's history unraveled into a tale of secrets, jealousy, and betrayal that would shake an entire dynasty. The city of Jeddah shimmered with excitement as the wedding of Khalid Al-Saud approached. For weeks, newspapers, magazines, and social media had spoken of nothing else. Khalid was the only son of a powerful construction magnate, a young billionaire whose life had been built on privilege and responsibility. His marriage promised not only to be a personal milestone, but also a public event that would showcase his family's immense wealth and influence. The bride, Amina, had captured the attention of all who saw her. Introduced as a modest yet accomplished graduate from Riyadh, she was admired for her beauty and soft elegance. Her delicate features and composed nature made her seem the perfect match for a man of Khalid's stature. To many, she was living every girl's dream, stepping from an ordinary life into the dazzling world of palaces, private jets, and boundless luxury. The wedding itself was a spectacle of unimaginable grandeur. The venue glittered with golden chandeliers and walls lined with white roses. Guests arrived from every corner of the globe, royals, politicians, celebrities, and business tycoons, each dressed in their finest. Amina walked down the aisle in a diamond-studded gown, the fabric catching every ray of light, while Khalid wore a traditional white thobe with a gold-trimmed bisht that made him appear regal and untouchable. They sat side by side on a raised platform like a king and queen, admired by all. From the outside, the night seemed flawless, the union destined to last forever. Smiles and blessings filled the air, and cameras captured what looked like the beginning of a perfect love story. Yet beneath the glamour, subtle hints of unease lingered, glances that carried tension and silence that spoke louder than words. It was a fairy tale, but one already shadowed by secrets waiting to surface. Amina's life appeared to transform overnight when she became the bride of Khalid Al-Saud, but behind her serene smile was a past she had carefully concealed. Long before her marriage, she had experienced a different kind of love, one far removed from wealth and prestige. During her university years in Riyadh, she felt deeply for Omar, a young Egyptian musician who lived with passion but little stability. Their bond was strong, filled with late-night conversations and dreams of a future together. Amina even supported him when his career faltered, offering him not only affection but financial help. For a time, she believed he was her destiny. The relationship, however, did not last. Tensions rose as Omar's failures mounted, and arguments replaced tenderness. Eventually, Amina chose to walk away, leaving behind what had once consumed her heart. To her, the decision was final. She erased what she could and told herself the rest would fade. The years passed, and when she entered Khalid's world of power and luxury, she believed no shadow from her past could reach her again. But Khalid's cousin Faisal thought differently. Jealous of Khalid's position as heir to their family's fortune, Faisal quietly searched for flaws in the woman his cousin had chosen. What he uncovered thrilled him: a collection of old photographs, affectionate notes, and evidence of a relationship that could be spun into scandal. To Khalid, who prized honor above all else, even the smallest hint of impropriety would be intolerable. Faisal gathered every detail and assembled them into a weapon. His goal was not only to expose Amina, but to destabilize Khalid's life, tarnishing the marriage before it truly began. While Amina smiled beneath the wedding lights, unaware of the storm gathering, her past was already on its way to destroying her future. The grand celebration had ended, and the silence of the bridal suite felt heavy after the noise of music and applause. The room, decorated with silk curtains and golden details, was meant to be a sanctuary for the newlyweds, yet the air inside was tense. Amina tried to calm her racing heart, telling herself this was only the weight of expectation, the pressure of entering a life where every move would be watched. But Khalid's cold glances during the evening lingered in her mind, and she could not shake the feeling that something was wrong. What she did not know was that only hours before the ceremony, a folder had been placed in Khalid's hands. Inside were photographs and printed messages from her past, memories of Omar that she had long abandoned. To Khalid, raised with the belief that honor was sacred and pride untouchable, the discovery was devastating. All through the celebrations he had forced himself to smile, but underneath, anger smoldered. Every guest's congratulations felt like mockery. Every flash of a camera felt like humiliation. When the doors closed, and they were finally alone, Amina sensed the storm she could not see. Khalid's silence was heavy, his gaze sharp and unrelenting. She tried to carry herself with composure, hoping her calm would soften whatever unease lingered between them. But her nervousness betrayed her. She had convinced herself that her past was buried, yet now it loomed closer than ever, breathing down her neck. The suite, built to be a place of intimacy, became instead a cage of suspicion. Pride, jealousy, and betrayal clashed silently within Khalid, each thought pushing him further into rage. For Amina, it was the beginning of a night that would end not in love, but in tragedy. Morning light filtered through the curtains of the bridal suite, but the room was silent in a way that unsettled the hotel staff. Hours passed with no movement, no sign of life, until finally a housekeeper pushed the door open. The sight inside froze her where she stood. Amina lay lifeless on the marble floor, her wedding gown torn and stained, her delicate face bruised beyond recognition. The room bore the marks of violence, a cracked mirror, pillows scattered, droplets of blood leading across the floor. The space that had been prepared for joy had turned into a crime scene. Khalid was found sitting calmly by the window, his white thobe marred with stains, his expression detached. He did not rise, did not deny what had happened, and spoke only of honor, claiming that betrayal had forced his hand. To the staff and investigators who rushed in, his stillness was chilling. There was no attempt to flee, no hint of remorse. Only a man who believed his actions justified. News of the tragedy spread almost instantly. Only the night before, thousands had admired the young couple, praising the grandeur of their union. Now whispers filled the corridors of the hotel, and within hours, media outlets reported the shocking story. How could a wedding celebrated with such extravagance end in death before the sun had fully risen? For investigators, the evidence was undeniable. Amina's body carried the proof of brutality, and Khalid's presence at the scene left little doubt. Yet the case stirred more than legal questions. It awakened a storm of outrage. Some defended the act as tradition, others condemned it as barbaric. Behind the headlines, however, the truth was far more twisted, born not only of pride but of manipulation from within Khalid's own family. The investigation quickly revealed that Amina's death was not only the result of Khalid's rage, but also of a carefully laid trap. Detectives began retracing her past, uncovering fragments of her former relationship with Omar, the Egyptian musician she had once loved. Photographs of them together, affectionate notes, and records of financial support painted a picture of a bond that had been intense but long over. In another life, these details might have meant little, but in Khalid's world, they carried the weight of betrayal. What investigators soon discovered was that the evidence had not surfaced by chance. The folder Khalid received on his wedding day had been assembled with precision, pulled from obscure corners of the internet and from accounts Amina had abandoned years earlier. It was a deliberate act of sabotage, and suspicion quickly fell on Faisal, Khalid's cousin. Known for his jealousy and resentment toward Khalid's privileged position, Faisal had long lived in the shadow of his wealthier relative. By exposing Amina's past, he sought to weaken Khalid's standing in the family and tarnish the marriage before it could begin. The deeper the inquiry went, the clearer Faisal's role became. He had orchestrated the exposure, collecting and packaging Amina's history into a weapon timed for maximum devastation. He underestimated the consequences, believing it would cause shame and gossip, perhaps even annulment, but not murder. Still, his hands were not free of guilt. The trial that followed became one of the most sensational cases in the kingdom's history. Every hearing drew crowds, from curious onlookers to international journalists eager to capture every detail of the scandal. Khalid sat in the courtroom with the same cold composure he had shown on the morning of Amina's death. He did not beg for forgiveness, nor did he attempt to shift the blame. Instead, He repeated the same words over and over, that he had acted in defense of honor. His lack of remorse divided the public. Some viewed him as a man trapped by cultural expectations, while others saw only a ruthless killer hiding behind tradition. As the proceedings unfolded, Faisal's role in the tragedy was also brought into focus. Though he had not lifted a hand against Amina, his calculated exposure of her past had set the events in motion. Testimonies, messages, and digital trails tied him directly to the folder Khalid received before the wedding. For many, his actions were just as poisonous, proving that envy and manipulation could destroy lives as easily as violence. Yet Faisal portrayed himself as a man who never expected such a deadly outcome, claiming he only sought to embarrass his cousin. In the end, the court delivered two verdicts. Khalid was sentenced to life imprisonment, his empire stripped from him, his name forever stained. Faisal faced a lesser but still heavy punishment, condemned for his role in igniting the tragedy. Omar, the man from Amina's past, never appeared in court but was pulled unwillingly into the narrative, his existence now immortalized in headlines he never sought. What began as a grand wedding meant to unite power and beauty ended as a cautionary tale. Amina's story became a haunting reminder that secrets, jealousy, and pride can turn even the brightest of nights into a stage for death.